Hey, what's up, guys? We're back from Thanksgiving. Been a busy Monday, all kinds of stuff going on in the shop. And yeah, I spent Friday putting walls together. We've taken some pictures. We're going to make, there's two videos going on. We're doing a how to rebuild one of these slides, and then we'll do a quick update for Jordan. But um, we've got, this is the rear wall and the outside wall. That'll be the front wall to the 12-foot slide. That wall had a tear in one of the seams right at the corner that we had to get fixed. So we got that welded up this morning. It's all glued up, sitting over there. So we'll set that on first thing in the morning. We're in the process of bolting all of this back, and we're going to start getting into some of the reasons why Jordan asked us to do this. We've talked quite a bit. Jordan and I have talked quite a bit about just the way Noah and I and the way we build things in the shop, and it's a little overdone, but um, that's okay. So from the factory, this wall right here had four self-tapping screws run up from the bottom, and that was the only thing holding this floor to this wall. And when I went and inspected this camper, that corner back there was dropped down. There was all kinds of water damage in the corner of it, and the wall and the floor had separated. I couldn't tell whether the floor separated from the wall causing the water damage, or the water damage caused the floor to separate from the wall. And frankly, at this point, it doesn't matter. But a self-tapping screw through the quarter inch, or not quarter inch, the 16th inch aluminum, the aluminum sidewall tubing that they've got, it just doesn't hold anything. And the face is screwed in, and the face is actually holding the slide from coming the rest of the way out. And then there's a piece of steel that runs across the bottom that holds the main part of the floor over there. But that steel only comes to about right here. So if you're in this corner, if you've got a bookshelf or a couch or something like that, or a sofa, and it's setting here, there's a huge amount of pressure over time that's forcing this wall down, and it's trying to pull all these things apart. So we're going back. It's really simple. We're only putting four in. We drill up from the bottom. It's a carriage bolt. We drill up from the bottom, and then we countersink this head into the bottom of the slide, and we run it up in here. We put a little red Loctite down, and we bolt this in. We've got washers that go in. We'll put four of them across here. And the point is we don't want the wall and the floor having any more stress than it's already got. They put a piece of wood in here, but the wood it's split. If you could see in here, when the screws that they ran up in there, the wood's so thin that as soon as they ran them in, the screws split apart. The threads weren't holding anything. There's no meat there. This has got meat to it. And then when we spray the outside of it, it'll all glue together. It'll make a lot more sense once we start putting this thing together. I did the pilot hole right here. I'm going to back this off. And tomorrow morning, we're going to bring it up just a little bit. We're going to run a bead of our, that really high end glue that this stuff is glued together with. It bonds aluminum and wood together. So there'll be a bead of glue here. That'll stop any air from moving around if it can. We'll bolt it up from the bottom. We're going to run a bead of the glue along there. There's actually an aluminum panel, or aluminum, call it a stud, back there on the back side of this. So we'll glue the two pieces of aluminum together, and we've got they're inch and a quarter grip range, quarter inch rivets that will go in from the backside. We'll countersink those in. So when we bring the back wall and the side wall together like this, we'll rivet those in up the side. Those will be countersunk. So when this goes together, you won't be able to see them. There's some outside trim that goes together, but rivets are about the only solution other than bolts when you've got such thin sidewall tubing. If they'd gone back with the tubing that we put in the floor, I get it. This stuff, it would add a lot of weight, and frankly, it's wasted weight. Cause we get the structure out of just the shapes and everything that's going on. Um, we didn't put the inside walls in yet because we're going to add insulation here. It's winter time. It's actually snowing outside, and everybody's freaking out because there's a little bit of snow on the roads. It's kind of humorous. It's Indiana, but anyway, um, people that are living in these things right now are talking about condensation on the inside and what's going on. My walls are sweating, my floor is sweating. There's water underneath my mattress. What's happening is there's too much of a temperature differential between the outside and the inside, and you've got too much humidity inside. All of these tubes in here are all hollow. There's no insulation. We tried to run insulation into these things, and it's really impossible. The tube's too long, and without going in and we'd have to weld them, and we tried it, it just didn't work. So the next possible solution is, once this is all put together, we're going to lose an inch. But what we're going to do is we're going to take an inch thick piece of styrofoam and we're going to eliminate all of this aluminum tubing. I've had a couple of people over the weekend, they were asking about heated floors. I've got heated floors in the downstairs of my house. I've been around water treatment. I started early, like a million years ago. I was in water treatment and understand and worked on, I got trained on commercial heating and cooling and residential heating and cooling. When you've got a heated floor, you've got a tube of water or electric running through the floor and it heats the surface up. Well, if you're using water, the tubes are spaced anywhere from 4 to sometimes 16 inches apart, depending on how big the heat load is. And that tube heats up the surface of the floor and it spreads out and it warms things up. Well, reverse it. You've got a cold tube right here, and that cold tube is not just going to make this little section of the wall cold. It's going to fan out and it's going to make this whole section of this wall cold. And that means this whole section of wall right here is going to sweat. So it's called thermal bridging. If you want the technical term, you can Google it and look up thermal bridging. It's been around forever. And as homes get more and more efficient, people are starting to chase this stuff because there's a huge amount of heat load and air conditioning load in the summertime. So if you can imagine, let's say that this sidewall right here is facing the sun. You're in East Texas and the sun's just blasting down on this thing. Every one of these tubes has no insulation in it, and every one of these tubes is getting hot. Every one of these tubes is making the surface of the wall hot, and you're living inside a toaster. So it doesn't take a lot to eliminate. Well, I'm not going to say eliminate, but it doesn't take a lot to slow thermal bridging down a bunch. And we can do that with just one 1-inch piece of rigid styrofoam. Jordan didn't want windows in either side of this slide. So it's going to make a real nice, it's going to make a nice wall, and it'll stop a lot of that thermal bridging going back and forth. We'll cut this so that it fits in here nice and tight. We'll glue it in with our styrofoam contact cement. So when we set this up, the other thing that you're going to see is all of these little bumps all over this is going to turn into one flat piece of foam. And then we will glue our 3mm piece to this, and you're going to have a really super flat wall that isn't going to sweat, or it's going to be a lot less prone to sweating, and it's not going to radiate as much heat. We'll do the same thing on the back wall, and then we'll tie everything together. It adds a little bit of weight. If you take all of the styrofoam that we've added here, it might add 20 pounds. So it's just nothing to talk about, and the benefit is huge. This wall right here is the outside wall, and it's only an inch thick. At 1 inch, you've got an R5. It actually says right here, you've got an R5. Well, if I put another piece of foam back here, I literally doubled my insulation value. And these things, doubling insulation is a huge deal. Eliminate a couple of windows, get rid of your thermal bridging, and all of a sudden things start getting a lot warmer or a lot cooler in the summertime. So that's the plan. I'll show you some of the details when we get into the window. We're actually going to put the window in like we normally would. We'll have a piece of sheeting go around this, and then we're going to make a nice edge around that. I'll show you some pictures. But anyway, that's what's going on. That wall will go on in the morning. We'll put the rest of this together, and we're going to tear into the little slide. We're going to turn that thing around really quick. We actually have a roof job sitting outside waiting on us. We're going to switch our spray rig over to the aliphatic white polyurea because the outside walls, the outside wall, the bottom, and the roof will all be sprayed in one continuous membrane, and it'll be up so it all ties together. So there won't be any seams, there won't be any transitions. There's no place for this thing to leak. But we want the big slide, the little slide, and that roof job are all going to get sprayed in aliphatic, and we'll do all that over the course of a day, day and a half. So once we switch the spray rig, that's hard to say. You don't have to edit that. Once we switch the spray rig from bedliner material over to aliphatic, we want to do the whole thing because there's about 3.5, 4 gallons in the hose, and the stuff's expensive. So we're going to try to get our best bang out of our buck. But anyway, slide rebuild, roof job. And then the rest of the shop craziness. That's what's on tap for this week. Once we've got both of these slides in, we'll get those mounted back into the trailer. The trailer, once the slides are in, that will give us a real good indication where the inside wall needs to go together, the outside wall needs to go together. And then the rest of this trailer starts to go back pretty quick. So we're looking forward to that. But that's the update for now. Sorry for being long-winded. It was a long weekend and we had a lot to do, but hope you're getting a lot out of this. We're definitely enjoying the work, and we'll check back with you tomorrow. So thanks, guys. Later.